Ladies and gentlemen, now the NDA is lifted as of at the moment this video releases. I can finally talk about this stuff. And as some of you will know, I did say that this week I was supposed to be flying out. I was going to be gone for a few days, and then I would have something really great to talk to you guys about. And you'll also know I wasn't there. I didn't go. Now, many of you have cracked the code via Twitter to see the pictures of things that were going on, but I want to use this video. This is audio only, so if you want to put it on in the background, feel free. That Blizzard held a Content Creators Summit, and I was invited to come to Irvine, California, to Blizzard HQ to look at upcoming features of World of Warcraft and provide feedback on them. And I took this extremely seriously. Extremely seriously. I took a few days off streaming, and before we get into it, I just have to say, one, a thank you to the people at Blizzard and the people outside of Blizzard who are aware of this situation, who did their best and fought to get me there. After I was booked on the plane, I was going. And then, of course, the Potion XP thing happened. And when I talked about the ban, I couldn't talk about anything because I was under contract from Blizzard not to mention the summit in any way. But I tried to allude to the idea that the suspension was not a punishment for me. That wasn't the punishment. The real consequence was something else, and this is that consequence. And I want to say thank you to those guys because they really fought to make it happen, like after I had been taken off the list. So when I found out that I was going to have something happen, I mentioned this several times, is that Blizzard contacted me before the suspension wave went out, and I knew I was screwed. I knew I was screwed. And it was because they had cancelled me going to the summit. And I was devastated. Absolutely fucking devastated. My wife was devastated, actually. She was very angry at me for many days. And she said along the lines, if I had done something that had resulted in this, you would have screamed and raged and done everything about me, blah, blah, blah. And she was right. She was right, because I had royally screwed up. Royally screwed up. And didn't think I had. Just did not think it was a problem at all. As I've explained many, many times about the Potion XP thing, is that it seemed to me in every single way possible that Blizzard didn't care about the fact people were leveling characters. They just did not care. That is all the information I had. And we can look back in hindsight now, which I've definitely done, and said, well, does it matter? Like, just don't do it. What's the point? Because at the time, I was booked to be on a plane to Blizzard within a couple of weeks, right? While that was happening, I was booked to be in California. I got to talk to the devs at Blizzard. So I could have just not done it. I could have done a number of other things that would have been a better situation. But they did email to say, yo, you're not coming now. And I was crushed. I was crushed. And it also explains why I offered to throw myself under the bus as much as possible. Because I'll be totally honest with you guys. My mindset at the time was, I don't even care at this point if they perma-banned my account. I just don't care. That's not the purpose of this. My thought process is like, you can perma-ban my account and I'll live. But I've got 13 years of fun out of this game. Like, some of the best fun ever. And if there's even a sliver of a chance, because I'm not under any fucking illusion that I'm like the savior of WoW or something ridiculous that people will try and spin this into. But if I can suggest something, if I can give some feedback that makes it better, that makes it better than it is right now, because let's be honest, it's not good. It's really not good. It's not. It's not good. I know some people enjoy it. Some people enjoy it for the end of time. And I read threads of people saying, I don't care what they do, I'm still going to play. It's like, that's crazy. That's crazy, because the world's crumbling around you and you're sat smiling in your chair. It's baffling to me as the walls around you fall. And I said this to Blizzard. I said I groveled. I did. I said, look, throw me under the bus. Do whatever you want to do. I will get on board with it, is what I offered to Blizz. I said, I will get on board with it. I will make it public. I will make it a big thing myself to discourage people from taking part in anything like this again, and to say how much I fucked up and the whole thing. I will totally be on board with that. But let's do this thing, because let's be honest, right? Let's be honest. We can all throw our hats in the ring, and it doesn't matter if I come up with 200 suggestions and one of them is okay. It doesn't matter if that's the case. It doesn't matter. So I'm sorry. I let you guys down. I let you guys down. This is the first big letdown I think I've ever done to any of you. Since the years I've been in front of your screens. I'm really, really sorry. And I'm sorry to Blizzard, because it was just so stupid to do. And now we're in a situation where nobody benefits. And I did say this to Blizzard. I was like, who wins from this? Who wins? Because you guys know I know what I'm talking about. Right? And again, I'm not saying I'm going to fucking come in and be like, oh, do this, and it's going to work. No, I'm not that fucking moronic. But we can have the discussion. Now, in terms of what the summit is, it depends on your point of view. I've spoke to people who have been to these summits before. Some of them consider them really good. Some of them consider it to be a waste of time. They could have just emailed me and I would have happily jotted things back down. But it's a conversation that can happen where it's a conversation. It's not a case of me guessing, which is what a lot of what we do when Blizzard isn't communicating with us. We know communication's been a problem. Is we're trying to fill in the blanks ourselves. We're trying to work it out. And for all I know, I have to assume they were... I haven't asked the guys who... We know who's been. We know Taliesin, Sluty, Just Wait. All those guys have been there. I haven't asked them what they saw or anything like that. It's not fair. But I assume they're going to show the necklace. And my goal with this summit, which is why I took it so seriously, was to just be honest from the get-go. Honest from the get-go. And what that doesn't mean be a dick. If they present to me a necklace that is awesome, and it's really going to spice up all the classes in the game, great. It's awesome. If they show me Nether Crucible 3.0, I'm going to say this is bad. And I worry at these events. I do worry about when these events take place, because I've been at events like this several times where it's all very faux worshipping. Because one of the big goals of the people who attend, in a lot of cases, is to make sure they can do it again in the future. And therefore, if they look at something and they think, this is shit, they go, this is great. This is so good. Can't wait. People are going to love this. And it's not true. And they know it's not true, but they want to make sure they get to come back. Right? Especially when it seems like a big deal, like flying to California and doing all those kind of things. And that was never my intention. Never my intention. Not to go that way. It certainly wasn't to be a dick. And I had to say to Ian, if he's listening, or I know some people at Blizzard will be listening, when we met, Ian, you had a look on your face like, this guy is going to come and talk to me and he's going to start preaching about all the ways to solve World of Warcraft problems, and this sucks, and this sucks, and that shit, and that shit. And you looked like, God, I just cannot be asked to speak to this guy. Because he's just going to go on, and he's going to start fucking banging it out like so many others do. And I know they did to you that night, because they came and told me, oh, I've just seen Ian. I've told him everything that's wrong with rogues. I've told him everything that's wrong with this. And it's a miserable fucking time. But you know that's not what happened that night. It's not what happened, because that's not how I do it. You'd had a great day. You'd announced some awesome things, the Mage Tower, Argus, all those things on that BlizzCon stage. And I told you that to your face. I was like, this is awesome. This is really good. All this content looks really fucking awesome. Everything you've shown us looks really good. And I think I said your team should be proud, because it was so cool. It was so, so cool. Now, I don't know where you got the idea that I would be that way with you. That I would be Mr. Negative or Mr. Let me tell you how the world should work. And it might be because, as we know now, you read a lot of forums, and maybe what you know of me comes from MMO Champion, who pick and choose selectively the things to get upset about that I say. But it all comes from honesty. It all comes from the slew of positive videos I've made. The slew of them. An overwhelming majority. Yet the negative ones, which I owe to my audience because they pay for my channel. YouTube doesn't pay me. The viewers pay for my channel. Is to be honest. When things are good, I'll say they're good. When they're bad, I'll say they're bad. And the truth of the matter is, when we come down to it, is I don't owe Blizzard anything. I don't. I was the #1 WoW YouTuber for years. And you never spoke to me once. Not a single time. Not a single time. And it certainly wasn't because of opinion pieces, because I was making guides. You didn't speak to me a single time. And it wasn't until some very awesome people on the WoW EU team got in contact that we started to have a conversation, which then led to this, which I then fucked up. And I did fuck it up. And I tried to salvage it. I know some of you will say, well, you've been kind of relaxed about the whole thing. I honestly feel like I've had no choice but to embrace the meme of the XP potion thing. And it's a meme. There are many memes about it. Because nobody cared about it. Nobody cared that they were suspended. There's not a negative post out there about I can't believe I got suspended. There's not a one. Anywhere. It was a joke. Nobody cared. It was totally unnecessary. And I understand some people are going to say, well, Blizzard can't associate with somebody who's cheating, right? I get that. But nothing happened before it was announced, which is what I was trying to say. I tried to say to them, look, nobody cares about this. Nobody. And the whole player base cares about this. And now they do. And they made me the poster boy because you sent out those suspensions. And that's why I said on Allcraft, it's like, I don't think you should have suspended anybody because it was unnecessary. Save it for something important. Because this isn't important. Because nobody cared before the suspensions went out. Nobody. In between it happening and the suspensions, nobody cared. And then the suspensions went out and everybody got on their high horse and started rallying around like a bunch of paladins in a fucking field of kings riding around. And then I became the poster boy for it. What choice have I got but to embrace it? Am I going to hide? I can't hide. I'm in front of a camera every single day. I can't hide. I had to embrace it. And the community took it as a big meme, a big joke. Fair enough. That's the way it has to go. But I tried. I tried beforehand to not let this happen. In preparation for it, this is how seriously I took this. I took 3 days off streaming when I found out I was going to California. I took 3 days off. And in those 3 days, I spent nearly 16 hours a day talking to people about ideas without them knowing that these were things that I could talk to Blizzard about. And the reason I did this is to make sure I wasn't living in a bubble. Now, what I mean by that is I might have a great idea, and it only takes one person to go, that sucks because of this. It only takes one person to do that, and it's something we lack a lot on the internet. Certainly with social media, where we find people who literally ring our bell every 5 seconds with any stupid, ridiculous idea we have and go, yeah, that's a good idea. So I went to people. I was like, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And what I ended up with was, as I told Taliesin, I ended up with a 23-page document of ideas. And it was all stuff I wanted to broach with Blizzard. And like a good 16 pages of it are all about casual content. And I'm wary about disclosing it now because it's still stuff I want to send to Blizzard, but they don't really want to hear from me at the moment. And if I release it on the channel, then, you know, it kind of goes the way of the Vantus runes, where everyone just goes, that was your idea, that was your idea, that was your idea, which it might not be, but as far as we know, it was. So what if I produce this video with like all this stuff in it and you guys go, that's awesome. And then Blizzard's like, well, we can't use it. Not that they're going to use it. It might be shit. Let's be honest. It might be shit. But I spoke to these guys and I was like, what about this idea? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? I even got most people to convince me that 10-man raiding is something worth discussing again because the amount of people who argued that it was just more fun. And I got into details about balancing and this and that and that. And these guys are like, no, we get that. We do get that. But it's just more fun. And I'm like, it was fun. I 10-man raided. It was fun. It was really, really fun. So maybe there's a way of working around that with more alternative options. I'm going down the raiding road, but a huge amount of it was focused on the fantasy world as a whole, right? We have so many examples of not real, but good fleshed out fantasy worlds. so many other MMORPGs out there right now who are doing it better. There's so many RPGs historically that have done it better, certainly than where we are now. And we have series like Game of Thrones and so on that are fully fleshed out. And what do we see in those fantasy worlds? Non-combat people being as important, if not more important, than the guys wielding the swords. And it's an area that is completely unexplored in the game. Everything in the game right now is related to combat in some form. Even professions are related to combat in some form. And we see players over and over again crying out like, why the hell do I have to go and do dungeons for this? I hate dungeons. So I looked at so many ways of exploring non-combat character progression that takes you in a route that, unless you're playing constantly, which some people always will, just isn't really viable for the guys who are really into the combat stuff. And that's okay. Because no one player in an MMO should be able to do everything. So you have guys who are so specialized into different areas of the game that then outfit those guys who are really into the combat. And there you go, you build an economy. A thriving, living, breathing economy. And that was my main overall Cloud idea, was like they need to put the day-to-day life back into the game so we're not logging in with a list of chores to do on a weekly basis. So that people feel important in their role and therefore feel a part of this world. And the only way you can do that is to give them importance. And it's worth thinking about different ways of introducing politics back into the game. Because as much as there's been discussions about creating safety and everyone should have a positive experience when they log in, the positive is so diminished by having no negative. And if the only negative you're getting is because it's Raider.io or dungeon stuff, that's not fun. What you want is interaction between players, because that's an MMO. That's what we signed up for when we bought this game, at least in my opinion. So I spent so long exploring ideas to make that happen, to present to Blizzard. And again, I'm not saying anything more than I might have had 200 or 250 plus ideas that they may not have even wanted to listen to. They might have told me to go fuck myself with my little document, which is fine. That's their prerogative, but I would have been able to try. And that's the sadness. I would have been able to try. I know I would have known in my mind, like, I did what I thought was best. I did my best. I put my best foot forward. And if they don't want that, that's fine. They're game developers. I'm not. But it might have got a discussion going. I think that's the idea behind these summits. It might have got a discussion going. I could have suggested something. I would have said, well, that's wank, Mike. Maybe we could do something with that, though. Okay, maybe we could do this then. Maybe we could do that and that. And then loads of other minds around this table, from content creators to developers, could have chipped in on this. And maybe we would have got something good out of it. But now I'll never know. And I feel like it's been pissed away. Unnecessarily, I might add. I fucked up. I fucked it up. I know that. Everyone knows that. News articles know that. I got my face plastered all over them. I fucked it up. But I still don't feel it was worth throwing away an opportunity. I don't see who wins. I would have happily turned away from the game, as we have done. I haven't had access to World of Warcraft now in what, 3 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Hasn't made a dent to me. I'm fine with turning away from the game if that would have been their choice to say, okay, well, this is it. You're out. All right. But let's see, leave something. So I'd known I've done my best, but we didn't get the chance, guys, and I'm really sorry. I really let you down. I tried to make it clear that the suspension wasn't an issue for me. Like, the suspension is neither here nor there. It was the other consequences, mainly this. Because I don't know what other consequences there will be, because I've no doubt they won't invite me again now. I apologize. I'm really sorry. To both you, the audience, and to Blizzard. Because I know many of you would have probably wanted me there, but yeah, we can't. And I'm not. So, let's hope 8.2 is good. God, I'm going to be so upset if I see something and I'm like, I could have suggested this. Oh, well. I won't do it again. That's my promise to you guys. Bye-bye.